Good afternoon, Julie. The purpose of our webinar today is to review the resource-defined learning and the aspects that it holds for our district and specifically our classroom teachers, and how it supports our curriculum and our instruction, especially in distance learning.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much for your time, everybody. I am excited to share with you. I'm just going to go ahead and share my screen. Oh, and Elizabeth, can you let me share my screen?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
You should be able to share.
Oh, yes. All right. Let me just get a new tab here. There we go. Okay. All right. Well, hi, everybody. Thank you so much for your time today. I am excited to share with you. I'm Julie. I'm one of the training and implementation directors at Define Learning. We are a web resource for teachers in grades K through 12. We have hundreds of performance tasks and literacy tasks that provide real-world, authentic career problem-based learning experiences for your students. So today, I would like to walk you through the resource and share with you the various components. We've just done, this summer, we just launched a brand new interface and some new features and things. So if you've seen us in the past, we look a little bit different. And hopefully with each development, our goal is just to make us more and more user-friendly for teachers. So with that, let me go ahead and share with you, if you're brand new and have never logged in, you should be looking at a page that looks like this, and this is at definedlearning.com. When you're on this page, you will see an orange login tab in the upper right-hand corner, and you'll just click login. And then I need to get into my account, I'm sorry. There we go. When you log in, just click sign in with Google. You do not need a username, a password, nothing. Just sign in with Google. So that's super easy. And then when you log in, you'll be looking at this page. And so this is our new look to our search and navigation page. There's a couple ways you can search the site, and I do want to share them with you just so that you can use what is best for you. First of all, you can search by any subject. You can also break down your search and look at math a little more specifically, keeping in mind everything is cross-curricular. Things that are more heavily based in science, social studies, language arts, and one of the new features I'll just show you since I have you all here is the careers. This might be nice for the middle school, high school teachers. These are the 16 career clusters. And what we've done here, and I'll just show you a real quick view of this. We've taken the career cluster and we've created a main video with that career cluster. And then we've broken the cluster down into pathways. So the pathways are on the right here. And if you click on any of these pathways, you'll see we've created a middle school and a high school project based on that pathway. The nice thing is when you find a project in either one of those age groups, it will more than likely be one or two projects that are specifically built for that pathway. So it's kind of cool. So if careers is something you're interested in taking a look at, please feel free to check those out. The other thing on the homepage that could be super helpful right now, in March, when COVID hit, our curriculum team came together and they created remote learning suggestions. And so these are actual tasks from our site that we've taken. And what the curriculum team did was take from those projects or from the performance task, the projects that were more user-friendly for doing at home. So I'll just click on it just to give you an idea of what it looks like. So we took projects that were more based in math and science. And I'm just going to go click grade band 3 to 5. What you do here is click on one of these if you wanted to look at a particular science or math-based task, or leave it open to all subjects. Click your grade band, and then you can choose whatever subject area or topic you were interested in. Maybe it's measurement and geometry. And you'd see the tasks here that have products in them that are more user-friendly for home use. Like this one has create a diagram and a product summary. Those are things they could do at home. They also took all the resources that we have and they scaled those back as well to really fit with the products that were chosen. So these are customized pretty nicely for you already. So please know those are there. And so now what I'd like to do is take you through an actual task and show you how you can customize the task, how you would assign it to your students, and then grading students on Define Learning. And I'll show you the portfolio piece at the end. But let's go ahead. I'm going to click on grade band. I'm going to go to 6 through 8, kind of in the middle, and find projects. And so now we're looking at everything for grade 6 through 8. You can narrow this search down by filtering your grade on the left. Just click on the grade that you want to see and click filter. So now we're only looking at 6th grade. One of the products that I want to feature is this Food Truck Entrepreneur. This is brand new to the site and it's really fun. I think you'll like it. So here we go. Now we're looking at our performance task. So we've created a workflow by using those 4 horizontal arrows at the top of the screen, beginning with project preview, the ability to customize or edit anything on the site, assigning and sharing the project, and student progress. So that's kind of the order we're going to go in today. Before I get into the task itself, one thing I want to point out to you all is the full task plan. I think this gets overlooked and I think it can be super helpful. It's a nice guide for teachers and you can print this out, keep it handy as you're working through the task. What it tells you is the activities your students will be working on step by step throughout the whole task, approximately how long each section will take you, and then the output of your students' activities. So you can keep this handy as you work through the task, and you can print it out, which I love. The other thing, and one of the questions we get a lot, and understandably so, is how long is all this going to take me? And the nice thing about this plan is it gives you an approximate time duration of each section. So you can plan on doing maybe 2 sections during one day, 2 more sections another day. So please feel free to take a peek at that. I do think it can be very helpful. So now let's go ahead and preview this task together. On the left, you're going to see all the steps associated with the task. Beginning with number 1, you'll find set the stage. Within set the stage, there is an introduction of the task, which provides some good information for you and your students and hopefully gets them excited about it. From there, you'll move on to the career video and guiding questions. The career videos are super fun. They contain a lot of information about the task, hopefully get your students hooked into everything. Most often you will see a person in a real world career talking to them about how they might use math or science or technology in their jobs. For our younger students in grades K to 2, we have more of a cartoon character going on. His name is Scotty STEM, and he interviews people in their careers and asks them questions that are geared for those younger learners. So it's more at their level, but it does contain a lot of great information as well. Next to the video, you'll see these guiding questions. And these are nice questions for the students to answer while they're watching the video, or you can use them as follow-up discussion pieces after they watch the video. And maybe like if you're Zooming with young students, it's gotta be crazy, but maybe show the video and then you guys can talk about the questions after. Just a thought on that. Number 2 is explore the background. So here you're going to find a lot of information. I feel that this is really the heart of the performance task because there's so much happening right here. You'll find first the big idea, the essential questions, and then you'll see that GRASP template, and that's all based on that framework of understanding by design, which was written by Jay McTighe. So here, students are seeing the goal or the outcome of their learning experience. And for this task, I'll just give you a little bit of each one of these so that you kind of get an idea of what this task is about. So the goal here is to determine the freshest and most economical way to get your food in the hands of the public. Your partners have decided to build a food truck that can travel around the region. Then students would see their role. So who are they going to adopt in order to accomplish their goal? And for this task, you are part of a team of entrepreneurs. You have decided to start a food truck business serving fresh food from local farms. You're planning on traveling and selling your food out of a food truck. and then their audience. So theoretically, who will they present this to? And in this case, your team has asked you to create the business plan for this entrepreneurial opportunity. You will need to gather the necessary information and put it together. The situation will provide some more contextual background information on the task. And then if we go back up to the rest of number 2, just below that, you're going to see a variety of product or project choices to use with your students. Now, the thought is that you're not going to use all of these product choices, that you're going to narrow it down, and it can be done in a couple of ways. I know, like, for example, if we had a math teacher or a science teacher using this, they might come in and just look for the product that pertains to their subject area. If there was a STEM teacher coming in, they may pick 2 or 3 of these products and let their students choose where their strengths or interests might lie. One of the things I love most about Defined Learning is that there's not really a right or a wrong way to do this. It just is whatever really best fits your needs. So that's kind of a plus. But let's look at the choices. So we have a map, a mathematical calculation, a research proposal, a monthly expense chart along with a cost analysis, and then a food truck design. So these would be the choices. Now, accompanying each one of these, we do provide a rubric, so there is a nice framework for the students to work within. And again, these can be customized as well if you wanted to go ahead and do that. And then the other thing I like to point out, because I know this is important for teachers, the standards are also associated with each product. And then each step of the performance task has a student check-in, which is nice because you can follow along and make sure students are working through the task as you'd like them to, and you can review the answers to those questions and use them as part of the grading process. So number 2, the student check-in will always be to restate the problem in your own words. Number 3 is do the research. So here we have provided a variety of research resources. And again, you don't need to use all of these, just really the ones that will support your goals. These learning objects are 10 slides long, and they go over key concepts and skills associated with the task. So for example, this one is on expressions and simple equations. This one is the importance of geographic tools. So there's a variety, as I said there. The other thing you'll find, if there were additional videos, they would be here. And then the research resources, they vary. So for grades K through 8, you will see a constructed response here first. So it's an actual writing response. I'll show you what that looks like. And then for high school, you'll see your resources here. The research resources will be from magazines, journals, periodicals, different types of articles that would be available to you. But let's look at one of these constructed responses. So this one is actually starting a food truck. So the first thing you'd find would be a stimulus. And I gotta pull this up, hold on. Let me move that, there we go. So you would have the stimulus and then the prompt. And the prompt for this would be, how can you be a successful food truck entrepreneur? So that's what the constructed response looks like. Underneath all that, you will see more student check-in questions. And for number 3, they will be things that pertain specifically to whatever product they might be working on. Number 4 is just, there is this video for the students, and it's kind of their guide to make them go through the steps and make sure they've done what they needed to, such as, have I brainstormed ideas, analyzed and decided, and then created and revised my final product. So that's what the video talks about. And then final reflections, these would be just questions that ask them to reflect on the task as a whole. So from Project Preview, I'm going to click on Customize now. And when I do, you're going to notice a few things that I want to point out. Assign chair is a little bit gray. You cannot assign until you do the first part of customizing. The reason is because once you do this number 1 project setup, it will actually save this task for you so that you'll always have it to go back to, and then you can assign it if you're ready. So project setup involves 2 things, super easy. Giving your project a name, and it will default to the name of the task and today's date. So just click in there if you want to change it up and do like STEM period 3. And then you can choose the products you want your students to view, whether it be one, whether it be a couple. Just click off of anything that you're not interested in having them do. And then create and continue to edit task. Once I do, now I can go ahead and assign it if I don't wish to customize any further. If you did want to customize a little bit more, I want to share just a couple of things you can do. So under edit task, any of the verbiage within the task, if you want to change the introduction or the goal, the role, the audience, you can click into these boxes and make those changes. Just to share something that a group of social studies teachers did, we have a task that's called Backpack Designer, and most students have a backpack, so it's something they're familiar with. But the social studies teachers took it and they said, okay, we're studying the war, and I don't know which one, but they were studying a war, and they said, all right, guys, we want you to make a backpack for the soldiers to use in this war. So that's how they customized it. And I think Food Truck Entrepreneur, I've heard some interesting twists on that as well, where they've taken it into different communities and had them make specific things that related to that community. So kind of a cool way to bring in other cultures and things like that. So anyway, clicking into the introduction, you can just click in the box. I'm typing the word test, and then I'm going to click save. Just please always save any changes you make. Our guiding questions, you can remove questions. You can also add your own questions if you'd like. And as I said, if you keep going through, if you go to explore the background and you wanted to make any changes in that grasp, the goal, role, audience, you can just click in the box and make any changes. And then I always like to show my teachers do the research, because I know you all have so many resources. If you had an article or a video that you wanted your students to view as well, you can upload and attach your own file here. So your students would view that as well. So that would basically cover editing the task. Number 3 is the student check-ins. I know some teachers don't like all those questions associated with the performance task. Some do, just depends on what works best. At any rate, you can shut them all off if you don't want students to do any. If you wanted them to choose the questions that really best fit the needs of your goals, you can shut off certain questions. You can also add your own. So again, you really can customize it as much or as little as you like. And then lastly would be skills and standards. So obviously this task is aligned to specific skills and standards. If you wanted to customize it to meet additional standards, when you came to this part, you would click customize and then just add in any standards that you were looking to address. Just please, again, save and close is important. Okay, so now we have customized this task all the way through. So now we're ready for assigning. Okay, so I just clicked on assign share, and you'll notice now there's a blue box. And the blue box is great because it gives you step-by-step what you need to do in order to communicate this project to your students. It's pretty simple, but I'll just tell you a little bit about it. Number 1 is this link, and I'm highlighting it. So when you log in, you'll have this link that's specific to Grandview, and you'll need to communicate that link to your students by embedding it in Google Classroom or something like that. And then when students get to that link, it will ask them to log in, and they can log in through Google. If they use Google Classroom, I'm assuming that would be what they're going to do. So now, by having that link and logging in through Google, they have their Define Learning dashboard. However, they still need your project. So in order to get the project to them, you would click Add Student. And I'll talk about rostering in just a bit because I know you probably haven't seen that yet, but we'll get to it, I promise. So when you're here, your students would pop up once they were rostered. You can choose to assign this to your whole class if you want to choose individual students. You also have the ability to put your students in teams and assign it that way as well. If you have like a high-end group and a low-end group and you wanted to make 2 versions of a task, you can do that also. But once you choose who's going to receive it, just also then pick your publish date, so when they'll receive the project, and the due date, and then click Add Selected. And this project will be sent to their dashboards. So now they have the project. So that's really the assigning process. Now, at the top of my screen, there's 2 things here. Well, there's a couple things I want to go over with you next. One is my projects and the other is my classes. So let's start with my projects. So now students have been sent this project. In order to grade it, that's kind of where I want to talk about next. So if you look at my projects, I have a red circle with a number 11, and that's how I know my students have worked on and turned in their project. It kind of is my notification. So I'm going to click on it now. And the first thing you're going to see here, once it drops, there we go, are all of my projects. So if you remember when we were customizing and I said you have to do the first step, this is why, because this is where your project will be saved to. And you can see here, Food Truck Entrepreneur is what we looked at. STEM period 3 was the one that we looked at today. Just down the row from that, some other things you can do. You can preview it, customize further. You can even assign from here. And then progress is another area I want to share with you. So I'm clicking on that. So, you know, a lot of teachers wonder, how do I know they're actually working on this? And this is a great place to check the student progress. There's a little plus sign that would be in front of their names. And then here is where you'd be able to view the answers to their questions once they started completing them. By clicking on view, you would see the question and then you would see their answer. And when you see their answer, you can accept it, you can reject it, or you can give them feedback on it. So there you have some options there as well. But I'm going to click on my projects one more time and start from the top down just so that you can see the order of the page. So here were the projects. Directly underneath that is recent submissions. So these are telling me not submitted, and that means I have sent these to my students, but no one has sent me anything back. If I see red, I know that they have submitted work back to me, and it says submitted. And now I'm ready to grade this. So I'm going to go to grade. And when I do, the first thing I'll see is a file or a link from my student. And then scoring would be next, and this is the rubric. So you would click on whatever you feel your student earned. And if you wanted to give feedback, there's a little pencil here. You can go ahead and give them some feedback on a particular area, or if you want them to rework something. And then just please always save and continue. And then this is where you have the ability to grade them on those skills, standards, competencies, all those great things. If you choose not to, you can shut that area off. But if you wanted to grade them on it, you would just click that drop down and you could choose beginning, developing, competent, or exemplary within that standard. So that's what grading would look like. Now, moving over to my classes. This is where your classes would be housed. So you would see your classes on the left, your students would be here. And I just want to share with you the portfolio of work that is kept so that you can see what it looks like. So the information we capture would be the projects that they've worked on. The careers that they've been exposed to would be highlighted on this wheel. And then underneath it all would be the skills and standards. So we can click through and it would fill in once you're grading more of their work. So that's what the portfolio would be. Now, rostering your students. So up again at the top of my screen, the PD Center. This is in there, you'll find, and I'll show you, there's a nice little step-by-step guide on how to roster students onto Define Learning. And it's really just a couple of clicks. It's not anything crazy, I promise. So if we go into that PD Center, the first thing I always highlight with teachers, there's a lot here, but I think the most beneficial is in the getting started, numbers 1 through 5. And numbers 1 through 5 really focus on the project and everything I went over with you today, like finding your project, how to customize it, assigning it, grading their work in here. If you need a refresher on anything I've said, this is a great place to go back to. These are like 2-minute, maybe 3-minute tutorials that walk you through those processes. So if you need a refresher on anything I showed you, great place to go right there. Underneath that, you'll also see integrations and setup. And this is where it will share with you how to log in with Google, which we've done, and then how to import your Google Classroom. So that's what I want to show you right here. So number 1 is logging in with Google. Number 2 would be going to get your classes. So at the top of the screen, you would go to that My Classes tab. And I know this is this reflects the old interface. The new interface, My Classes at the top, is in that kind of cool looking, now it's a black bar. So you would click My Classes, and then you would click Import Classes. If you have more than one class, you will import each class. Obviously, if you just have the one main group that you work with all day, then you would just import them. So that's it. That's importing the classes. So that's how you would get them into Define Learning. They do have to be logged into Google Classroom in order to pull them through. But that's how it's done. Let me go ahead and go back to Define Learning. The last thing I wanted to give you was a quick idea of what this looks like to the students. So in My Classes, you have the ability to log in as your students. So I'm just going to do that right now. And this would be an example of a student dashboard. So they would have all their projects for them. And again, I know some might be seeing more than one teacher. And if that's the case, it says assigned by, so they would know who their assignment was coming from. And the only thing they would need to do is click Launch, the green tab. And it's set up very much the way that your site is set up, so it's very similar. Here would be the project details. So they would have their introduction, their video. When they answer those questions, they would just type in the box. And then again, just clicking save. They would have their explore the background, and they would only see the products that you chose for them. They would have their research resources. And then in the design process, they would have the ability to send you their project, and it would look like this. So here would be the project. They would just click submit work for this product, and they can drop in however they want. If it was through a device, through a link, through a camera, and then submit for grading. And then that's when you would be notified that they sent you something. The other thing students have here is a task workspace, which I think is kind of nice. It highlights for them when they are completing things, and then when they're done, it checks it off for them. So it's almost like keeping a running list. Yeah, kind of like a real world situation there. And then submissions and grades would be there as well once I graded their work. So that's what the student side looks like. So I do like to share that because I know that is something you're probably wondering about. But I think I have gone through everything I can go through. Does anybody have any questions, or is there something I can go back over for you?
I have a question about the rubric.
Can you hear okay?
No. I hear rubrics.
Okay, let's try again.
Okay.
On,
Hi, I have a question real quick. Oh, is that good?
it's this.
Okay. Is that better? You want me to just walk up there?
Okay, just come on.
Okay, I have a question on the rubrics because you're giving student feedback, which is amazing. So my question about that is, I feel like parents need to be able to see feedback or have access to feedback. So what would that look like?
The parents can look into the student's account. Would that be helpful?
Yes, so they would have access to be able to log in and see like just their grades solely, where like the teachers could give feedback on the rubric piece, or what does that look like?
So the parent, I think, would just log into their student's account and they would be able to see their student dashboard.
So we're feeding through Canvas. Will parents be able to use Canvas to click on the assignment to get views of the feedback?
I'm just thinking about those conversations that teachers have with parents, because particularly when we're virtual, I think that they have a clear understanding of where their students are, and also within being able to see the rubric, I think that helps them to specifically understand where their student may or may not be having difficulty, and that's clearly able to be explained by the teacher that way.
Yes, and I love that. I think what I'm going to say, I think it can be printed out, if that would be helpful, to print it for them, or then you'd have to mail it. The Canvas thing is what's throwing me, because normally I would just say to, have your student log in and then they could look at it that way and they could see their dashboard. Here, I just want to show you. When they're in their dashboard, there is, in the submissions and grades, they would be able to see that, oh, there is a print. So you could print the student's rubric if you wanted, but when they're in the student dashboard, they could see the rubric here, and they would see the grades highlighted on it and their work on the standards. And if there were comments, they would be able to see those as well.
They go through the student's account.
Yes, they could go through their student's account.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question.
Sorry, go ahead, Bridget.
My question is, how would this look if you were wanting to make a project that had multiple students working on it?
That's a great question. So what you could do is put your students into, it would be basically a group, but on here we call it a team. So you could go to add new team, and you would see the names of your students within that class, and you could call your team whatever you wanted, give it a name, and then choose the students you wanted to be part of the team, and then create add, and that team would be added right here. And then when you were grading, instead of choosing and assigning it to a whole class, you could just assign it to that team. And then
Okay. How did you get where you are? That screen. Okay.
we're in the My Classes at the top of your screen.
Okay.
And then you just have to scroll down a little bit. I think it gets missed, but it's right here, add new team.
Okay, thank you. I just couldn't see the top of your screen. Okay, under classes.
No. And then
Thank you.
also when they work on it, one person could essentially submit their project, but when you grade it, it would go to the whole team.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So my question was, I noticed it was Common Core. Would we need to use our state crosswalks to align with state standards?
I apologize, because right now I'm in Illinois. When you log in Missouri, you should see your standards reflected.
Right, thank you.
No, I understand. That's a good question.
I may have missed this, but is there a way for multiple teachers to view one assignment? I know you can go in under the student and see what they've been assigned, but if you're working on a team, can more teachers than just the one that assigned it see access to everything?
Yes. So what you would do, I'm still in My Classes here. On the right side, it says Share Class. And when you click on that, the teachers from your building would pop up and you would just click their name. Like I could click Career Tech and I would be able to share with that teacher. See if there's a, here we go. See at the bottom, there's a share. So you would click share and then that teacher would have your projects also in with their projects over here. So when you saw your projects, you would essentially see each other's projects.
And would this work well with multidisciplinary activities? I'm thinking secondary, we'll say like science and math wanted to do, two teachers wanted to do a project together. Would the scores go in both of their grade books?
Yeah, I mean, we do have teachers collaborating like that, where they'll take a project and look at it and look at the standards. And you might have the math teacher say, all right, I'm going to do the math project, you're going to do the science project, and they might even bring language arts in and say, you're doing the language arts piece, and do it that way. The other thing you can do to help collaborate for those purposes, I don't want to confuse you and give you too much information, but you could make teacher groups. Now, it wouldn't be like a Google Doc, but you could share projects in there to collaborate on. So you'd have to have like one point person to create it. But the drop down by your name, there's a tab, create groups. And so one person would name it and then they click create group. So, and then create group, okay? And then when you do, like I'm now brought into this page and I'll see, here's a group access code. And I would share this with my colleagues who I wanted to be part of this group with me. And then they'll take that code that I sent them, they'll come into their name and they'll go to join group. And then they'll put that code there and they'll click join group. I can't do it because I'm already starting the group. But once you did that, your name would be added as a member of the group. And then you could share projects in here with each other. So if that's something that might be helpful as well.
Great, thank you.
And I have, I think I have 9 videos, and the one is, I think it's the 7th one. It's called Student Dashboard. It also walks the students through their side of things from a student perspective. So I'm going to send you all 9 little videos. And again, it just breaks down the site into sections. And there is one on teacher groups and all that stuff. There's one on the student teams, creating those. So I'll send you all those so that you have them to look through. And that might be helpful as well.
I think I just have one more question. What do you recommend, since we're starting distant learning and teachers are using this, it's going to be pushed out electronically. What do you recommend? How much do we give a student each day of a project?
That's a good question. So will this be supplemental to things they're already doing?
It'll be embedded in the curriculum.
Okay. So it depends on how much they're doing per day, but you could do like 1 per quarter or even more, because if this is what you're building into the curriculum, but it depends. Like one day, for example, they might just do the introduction, and then the next day they might go through some of the set the stage, and then they might go on to do the research resources, which could take a couple days, and go through all those, and then they would create the project. So it could take them several weeks to work through. The younger grades are different, so K to 2. You might just be having them watch the video, create a brochure, draw a picture, those types of things. So they would probably get through something more quickly. But I would give it 4 weeks or so.
Thank you.
And again, I would use that task plan because it does give you an idea if you are building this into your curriculum. It gives you an idea how long each section will take the students too. So that may be helpful while you're planning this out.
I don't know if this is a district question or a defined learning question, but when you have students coming in mid-project, will they just kind of sync up to that, or do you have to manually add them? And how does that kind of work as far as their timeline? Is it adjusted so that, like, if you think it's like a 4-week project, that they're coming in at like week 2 or week 3, do they just kind of work at their own pace and you just kind of worry about this at a later time for that individual, or is there a way to kind of catch them up to speed a little bit faster?
That's a good question. You can manually add students in the My Classes tab. There is a tab to add students. So you have a create new if you needed to put in their information, but if they're in Google Classroom, you should be able to go to search district students and add them that way. Just click the plus that would be next to their name. So those will be 2 options with adding the students. As far as the actual project, you know, maybe if students were working on more than one product for that task, maybe just narrow theirs down to 1 so that they're only working on the 1 so that they're not trying to play catch up too much. That might be an option. Kind of scale it back for them a little bit.
Thank you.
Okay, I think that's all the questions. Is there anything else that a new teacher, new to Defined Learning would want to know that you can think of, Julie?
No, but given that you guys are going all remote, I would start looking through the remote learning suggestions first. Because those are customized more specifically for that. So that would be where I would start. And I'm also going to send you, I don't think I did. I have, like I said, those videos, and I'll send those out to you as well. They might be helpful in working through the site.
Thank you.
Thank you all. I appreciate your time, and I wish you all the best in the fall with these crazy teaching situations that you have been presented with.
Oh, we appreciate that so much. Thank you.
All right.
And we appreciate your help today, Julie. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Take care, everybody.
Thanks,
Be
you
safe.
too.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.